This is Umar for BoxNation. I'm joined by South African heavyweight Kevin Lerena. It's been a couple of weeks, well, a few weeks since I've seen you last in Riyadh, where you gave a brilliant account of yourself against Justis Huni in really, obviously, difficult circumstances, which we'll come on to in a bit, Kevin. But yeah, how's life treating you? How are you, man?
No, good brother. Thanks for having me again. It's always good to chat to you. It's probably been about a month, a month exact since the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gone by. It's flown by, but obviously lots to look back on, lots to get over. But yeah, it's a good fight. A good fight. A lot of positive comments and feedback from the fight. Obviously, it didn't go my way, which I think was a lot closer than the judges had it. But we'll chat about that.
Yeah, of course, of course. But I just want to get an insight into what you're doing currently. So you're in Cape Town at the moment?
Yeah, yeah. I'm in Cape Town with the kids. The kids start school tomorrow, so I'm here in Cape Town. Still training hard, putting in 2 sessions a day because I'm not sure whether I'm fighting June, July, or the winner of a Coley versus Rosinski. The WBC's mandated that they have to fight me. So there's lots in the pipeline. So I just kind of got to navigate right now and play it right at the moment.
Mm. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, you've been campaigning at heavyweight for your last few fights, but you believe Bridgerweight is the best weight for you, Kevin?
Look, obviously, I'm a very small natural heavyweight. I mean, I'm only 6'1" and 230 pounds, so it's not the biggest heavyweight. But Bridgerweight, the division, the WBC's got the Bridgerweight going. I'm the interim Bridgerweight champion, world champion, and I see the WBA's followed suit with the super cruiserweight division, which is technically the Bridgerweight division. Yeah, I think to dabble between the two is great because it creates a lot of opportunity for me. Obviously, my last fight was at heavyweight, but it didn't really have a negative impact on my Bridgerweight ratings. I got special permission from Mauricio Suleiman to go up and fight Justis Huni in what was and should have been a WBC special event. And then obviously I saw it became a WBO global fight, which I wasn't aware of. I just signed a normal 10-round international heavyweight contest, but it is what it is. I don't worry about stuff like that. Stuff like that doesn't bother me. At the end of the day, it's a fight, and dabbling between the two weight classes, it kind of has its perks.
Okay. Well, let's just go back to the fight with Justis Huni and the Thursday of that fight week. So obviously the fight night was on a Friday. I'm not even sure how you got in the ring. A lot of boxing fans, you know, yeah, just questioned how you even got in the ring, but credit to yourself and show you a real lion, a real warrior for doing so. But no one could have blamed you for not doing so, Kevin. To hear that tragic news about your mum passing away and then not even 24 hours after getting in that ring, how did you do that?
It's crazy. When I woke up Thursday morning, the morning of the weigh-in, I saw my phone was buzzing. I said, okay. So I had a look. I saw family was on a WhatsApp chat, and we had a WhatsApp chat going because my mom was in hospital, and something said to me, "Don't open the chat. Don't open the chat." And I sent a message to my wife. I said, "My mom's gone, hasn't she?" And then she replied, and then obviously I was just like, it was hectic. I'll be honest. It hit me hard. I walked outside the villa there in Saudi and I just burst into tears because I said, I'm so far away from home. I'm so far away from my family, and they all lean on me for that support and that guidance. And I'm so far away from them. And my brother was with me and my cousin was with me in Saudi. So it was just, we had to pull together, but at the same time, I had to fight the next night. So there was a lot of emotions. And I thought, no, I must be honest with you. I said to myself, my mom was a lion, a true warrior. She fought till the very end. Last like 6-7 weeks, she struggled. And so, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to fight for her. But to be honest, I had nothing. I was emotionally so drained that I'm only human, and I realized that after the fight. I tried to put it all aside. I tried to put away the bad news and put it behind me, but just look at how when I walked to the ring, I could see it, and I watched the video footage back. I was like completely cold, like I had no emotion, no feeling because I was so drained. And I just it alludes to me saying I'm only human, and I realized that I'm just a human being. But yeah, it was tough. It still is tough, and I can say that losing my mom I don't think it gets easy at all. Your ability to cope with it gets better. And I lost my father too. So I lost my dad when I was 12 years old. So my mom brought me up as just like a single mom, and that's why I call her our lion. She's a true warrior. And she brought me up, my brother and my sisters, and she really worked so hard to give us like just the basic stuff, And I'm very grateful for that. So that's why it meant a lot for me to go out there and fight. And it also meant a lot for me to have the boxing world rally behind me. I received messages from across the board from big time fighters, big stars. AJ reached out, obviously Tyson Fury. These guys are all fellow heavyweights, but superstars in the sport, and they all reached out to see if I'm okay, if I need anything. And that just showed me, the boxing fraternity is a good one. It really is. And thanks to you too. The post you put out was really heartwarming and touching for me. Yeah, it went viral, and you don't always want to go viral for something like that, but I just wanted it to. I think you had the same ideas, that you wanted to show people the spirit and the heart that I have to just do my trade in honor of my mom.
Well, look, I was going to put a post out of you that day, coincidentally, and it was just about sparring Tyson and your fight with Justis. And I thought, there's no point doing this. I might as well, I'd heard that you were still getting in the ring, which shocked me. And a lot of people within that hotel when we found that. So I thought, let me just put this post out, just highlighting how much of a warrior you are, because you are a professional and this is your job, but nothing can prepare you for what you've just gone through. And, we're not talking about a week or, a couple of weeks where you were with her in the country. This is literally 24 hours till you're getting in the ring and you're on a different continent. So, yeah, just hats off to you. And also the performance that you actually put in against top class heavyweight. I mean, you nearly had him out of there in the last round, Kevin.
Yeah, I think the second and the last, if you watch it back, I hit him with a straight left to the body and a right hook to the top. In the second, Justis wobbled a bit, and I threw the kitchen sink at him because I thought he has my opportunity to get him out of there. And kudos to him, he showed a lot of experience being when I say a young heavyweight, he's obviously got a big amateur pedigree, but he did well to stay up. And then into the 10th, obviously the fight was a humdinger backwards and forth up until then. And in the 10th round, that check left hook, and I envisioned it. The whole camp, I envisioned it when he throws that right hand to slip out of it and throw a check left hook. And obviously throughout the 1 to 9, I didn't do it. But in the 10th, I just dug my toes in and I did it. And he wobbled badly. And when I went for him, I was just so spent. I had nothing left. And that's not like me, I train hard. I train smart. I put the work in. I put the hours in. So I don't know why I had no energy. I know why, but I don't know why, because I thought, I could do it. I could go in there and obviously what happened the day before played a massive role in my performance. Mm-hmm. But it didn't take away that how bad I wanted the victory. I tried my best. I just had nothing left. So credit to him. He stayed up, and he's a nice guy too. Justis Huni is a good guy, a good competitor, humble. His whole team's humble. But I think it was a close fight, and I must be honest, not just saying this because he beat me, but I think different circumstances, he would have had a very, very hard night.
Mm. Well, look, I think you did yourself proud in those circumstances. I'm sure your mother watched, from above and was very proud of you. I'm sure she was. So, yeah, moving forward, you said now the position you're in with the WBC for that Bridgerweight fight. Who do you think wins? Do you think Okoli will win that title?
I think it's a tough fight for both. Radzinski's a come forward, wild type of puncher. I know he disposed of Alan Babic relatively quickly, but I don't think Alan Babic had a good camp, if I'm not mistaken. It didn't look like he wasn't that serious, or things didn't go his way. I shouldn't say he wasn't serious. So I don't think you can look at that and say he's a nightmare. Yes, he's got a KO ratio, but the only legitimate guy that he stopped is Alan Babic. And Alan Babic was like, he's never been a world champion. He's a tough guy. He's a come forward fighter. He's a warrior. He's got a warrior heart, that man. But sometimes being too tough is a bit of a problem in the sport of boxing. And I think Lawrence Okoli, now that he's gone up, we were meant to fight at cruiserweight. Eddie Hearn reached out, and when I was the RBO cruiserweight world champion, and we're going to have a He was, I think, for the WBA, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But the fight never ever got made. And I used to struggle to make cruiserweight. He used to struggle. So I think now that he's going up, he's going to obviously carry a little bit more power because he won't be as drained as a boxer. Obviously, you know, not the most clinical, most flashy boxer, but he's got a hell of a right hand. And I think it will and can land against Rosinski. I'm going to go Lawrence Okoli, you know. I think Lawrence will do the business. He's a big guy. He's like 6'5". He's basically a fully fledged heavyweight, to be honest. And coming up from cruiserweights, I think it's going to do him a lot of justice. And I think I'm going to lean towards Lawrence Okoli. I must be honest. I am. I think a lot of people never gave him credit for his cruiserweight victories. And a lot of people said his fights were boring and he was holding. But, you know, at the end of the day, he's maybe not a natural cruiserweight. So he didn't feel good at that weight. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does now. So I'm going to stick with Lawrence Okoli here, and okay. I think in good fashion.
Well, yeah, you're in that position, and you're in the sport to become a world champion, and you're, you know, in that pole position to fight the winner. But what if I just chuck in a curveball? What if an offer came in to fight again out in Saudi Arabia at heavyweight, Kevin? What'd you do then?
It's a tough one because Saudi is an epic place for boxing at the moment. The biggest fights are being made there. Obviously, the fight purses are really lucrative, and what His Excellency and the promoters like Frank Warren from Queensbury, Spencer from Goldstar, and obviously Eddie Hearn from Matchroom are doing to make the sport bigger and better, and paying the guys more helps a lot, you know. We fighters at the end of the day, and this is the business, but it's tough because I'm in actually a very tough position. I've got the opportunity that I'm basically the WBC interim world champion, mandated to fight the winner of Okoli and Rosinski, and then you offer me a massive heavyweight fight that's for decent money. It's kind of hard to turn down, but it's always risky because the heavyweight game, anything can happen. Not to say it can't happen at Bridgerweight, but those fights are purely for money. And if I said to myself, what if I became the WBC Bridgerweight world champion by beating either Rosinski or Okoli, whoever wins there, and then get a heavyweight fight? Your share price is a lot more, I think. Yeah. So it's a tough one, you know, but I'm open to all opportunities. You know, the promoters, Frank Warren and Spencer in particular, really treated me well in Saudi Arabia. They were phenomenal, obviously, not just after the bad news, prior to that. And they really were welcoming, and they made me feel welcome, and my entire team felt welcome. So I truly appreciate that. So let's see what the future holds. You know, I hopefully gave a good account of myself. Hopefully the people enjoyed the fight and enjoyed my ways. And I'm a pretty straight up person. I don't beat around the bush. I say it how it is, but what you see is what you get with me.
Yeah, speaking about Frank Warren, I'm sure you'd have seen his comments about yourself that he made to me, and he was very complimentary of you, not only about yourself in the ring but outside the ring as well. Him being a Hall of Fame promoter and talking like that about yourself, your thoughts on that?
Thank you. No, thank you to Frank. That was really heartwarming, considering, you know, obviously I came off second best that night, well, according to the judges. And you know, a lot of people might just say, well, it's a fight. Well, on he goes, and who's next? But he really wasn't like that, and it shows his character, and also, you know, it just shows the type of person I am. I'm all there for business, but at the end of the day, I respect everybody and I treat everybody equally. You know, I treat everybody equally, from the trainers to the promoters, to the event organizers, to the media guys. I try to treat everybody with respect. You know, I'm a warrior, I'm a fighter. When the bell goes, I'm going to fight. But everything outside the ring is not a fight for me. It's about just the way I carry myself and the way that like my business acumen. I try my best to just be the best version of me.
Kevin, we know Tyson's fully in camp for his fight with Usyk next month, May 18th. Of course, you were in the original camp. I'm not sure whether he's sparring yet or not. Are you going to go back into his camp when he starts sparring?
The last I heard, Tyson hadn't started sparring yet. I'm not sure if he's sparring yet, and he did mention that he wants me and my trainer to head back there, but we haven't been in contact with his team, or his team haven't reached out as of yet. But I'm obviously in training and in shape, and if Tyson needs my assistance, I'll gladly help him. I really want him to do well. Also a phenomenal human being and a world-class fighter. So if he needs my assistance, I'll be on a plane to Morecambe or Saudi to give him some help.
Absolutely. You fully confident of a Tyson Fury win against Oleksandr Usyk?
That's what I'm hoping for. I think Oleksandr Usyk is a phenomenal fighter, and I don't know the guy personally, but he's a phenomenal fighter, and you can't take that away from him. You saw what he's done at cruiserweight. We've seen what he's done so far at heavyweight. He's a good boxer, and he's got all the attributes. But I do think Tyson Fury, when he's on, like he is now, or like he was in camp before he got cut, is a handful to deal with for any heavyweights and for Oleksandr Usyk. So if that Tyson Fury turns up, I'm leaning towards Tyson Fury, and I think Tyson Fury will be victorious.
By stoppage?
Look, I think he can stop Oleksandr Usyk, but Usyk hasn't been stopped in the professional ranks. AJ, who's a massive puncher, didn't stop Usyk. Is it the same AJ that's performing now? Possibly not. I think AJ has also evolved a hell of a lot, and he's fighting with a lot of confidence. And yes, Francis Ngannou is not a professional boxer or not the highest level pro boxer, but he's a strong man. And the way AJ ironed him out set a statement, and it put the heavyweight division on high alert. He did it in emphatic fashion. And Usyk, he didn't do that to Usyk. So, and other heavyweights like Derek Chisora and Joe Parker didn't do that to Usyk. So he's obviously got the ability to avoid those big shots. He's got the ability to be elusive, and that's what Tyson's going to have to deal with. But Tyson himself is elusive. Tyson himself is a very awkward guy and a hard guy to be in there with. His distance control and the way he moves around the ring, his ring generalship's right up there. So it makes for a good fight. It makes for a good fight. Can he stop him? Heavyweight boxing, anyone can get stopped. I think, yes, if Tyson lands him and he puts the shots on him that he wants to put on him, of course. It's heavyweight boxing. Tyson stopped guys that are big men. But if we go on paper on what Usyk's done in the heavyweight division, it will be hard to stop him, I think. But beatable for sure.
Just want to gauge what his punching power is like, Tyson. I don't know how much he landed on you in those spars during that camp, but what's his punching power like?
It's hard to say in sparring because, when you're sparring, like me being a sparring partner, you're going out there pretty much with no plan. You're just going to give the man work. You're trying your best to get on the inside, to work him hard. And you obviously, you've got headgears, you've got 18-ounce gloves or 20-ounce gloves, if I'm not mistaken. So it's hard to give a true account of somebody's power. When a guy's got a 10-ounce glove on and he's chinning you, then you can give a true statement on somebody's power. But he's got good timing. One thing I can tell you, he's got phenomenal timing. And if you let him hit you, it's not nice because it's heavyweight boxing. You don't want to get hit by those big men. You don't want to. And I'd like to say I'm a tough guy. I'm a tough, like Spencer was saying, the white rhino. I just keep coming forward. But I come forward moving my head because I don't want to be at the end of that long right hand or that long backhand because it stings, So, yes, everybody in that game, what does he weigh? 125 kilograms or whatever it is, 270 pounds. Of course, he's got weight behind his punches. And now he seems to be more snappy. So there's weight and snap. So for sure, he's a heavyweight. He's a puncher for sure.
One heavyweight that we're really excited about in the UK, and I'm sure is going to break out onto the world scene very soon, and you'll understand why because you're in camp with him, is Moses Atalma. I want to just get your perspective about Moses and what you saw from him in the ring when you were in camp with Tyson and Moses. How special is he?
No, he's got all the attributes. I'll tell you that much. Moses Atalma has all the attributes to be a world champion. I don't know if he'll be a world champion now, within the next 12 months or within the next 3 years, but I will tell you, when his time comes, I do believe he can and will become the heavyweight world champion. He's got a great athletic ability, great natural boxing ability. I mean, we sparred 6 rounds together, and he was, for a guy that's relatively inexperienced in the pro ranks, I had to be on my game because his punches are He's explosive. He's got weight behind his punches. So he's very, I wouldn't say unassuming because he's a big guy, but he's got that explosive power. He's explosive. He's got boxing ability and ring IQ to go with it. So he's got all the attributes. So now it's up to him. I said to him, the sky's the limit for you, really. You're strong, you can box, you can punch. So now it's up to him. He's got to put in the hard work and tick all those boxes. And I do truly believe he can be a heavyweight world champion. And it was nice to spar with him because, like they said, when there was a young Mike Tyson coming up, a lot of fighters that were older than him sparred with him, and they spoke out and said that guy will be a world champion. So I think Moses Itama will be a world champion. I just don't know when.
Okay, interesting stuff. And just to close off, something that interests me is South Africa and how big boxing could be there. I mean, you're leading it along with others in smaller weight classes currently. Of course, we know where boxing's booming at the moment. It's Saudi Arabia. You've had that experience. You've had experience in the UK with the Dubois fight, and I'm sure you're going to go where world titles are, where the money is, of course. But I'm sure you'd like to have a big fight in South Africa one day. Do you think there's real potential and legs in that, Kevin?
Most definitely. South Africa is a beautiful place. You can ask any of the international fighters or boxing pundits, promoters, and boxing media who've been out here. Cape Town, Johannesburg. The boxing capital is probably Johannesburg, but the beautiful place in South Africa is Cape Town. And it's a beautiful place. It really is. I think there is potential to make big fights. You're not going to, I don't think you're going to fill stadiums like the Greenpoint Stadium here, which is 50, 60, 70,000. But I think you can fill nice arenas, 10 to 20,000 very easily. If you have the right fights, big fights, you can do big cards here. And with Dricus du Plessis being the UFC middleweight champion, I think it's middleweight, South African guy, if UFC had to come here, that would create big traction. So if the big boxers had to come to South Africa, or call it Africa, but fight in South Africa, guys like AJ, all the African fighters who have done so well for themselves, the Derek Chisoras, to name a few, and those fights had to take place in South Africa, I think we could do big numbers here and get big sponsorships. Obviously, I'd like to say I'm paving the way for a lot of young South African fighters, and there's a lot of good South African fighters in the lower weight divisions like flyweight and all those other smaller divisions. One or two up-and-comers in, I think it's junior middleweight. So, but I'd like to say I'm the flag bearer for the sport on an international stage in terms of the heavier guys. And I'd like to see big things happening in South Africa, and there is definitely space for it, but it's just about getting the opportunity and the right people involved.
What was the reception like for yourself when you got back to South Africa? Obviously, it was a loss, but as I said, it was a great account of yourself and what you'd gone through the day before the fight. Was there much reception back in South Africa for yourself?
Of course, the people that see me in public, that know the sport of boxing or that follow me, always stop me. And a lot of people have said to me, we believe you won the fight. So when I watched the fight back, when I got back, a lot of people said, I think you won. So, people might be a bit biased because they're my supporters. So I watched the fight back. I gave it a draw, to be honest. I gave it a draw. If you had to look at it, had Justis gone down in the 10th round, it would have been scored a draw because it was 96-94, which makes it, 95-95. Had he gone down in the 10th, had he taken a knee, I'm saying. So I did score the fight a draw on my unofficial scorecard, but many South Africans came up to me and said, what you did, you're an inspiration. And obviously I've got big support here back home in terms of boxing and then being a sportsman. So a lot of people reached out to me, and besides reaching out to me, in public came up to me and wished me well. Sometimes a victory is phenomenal, but sometimes a loss like that does a lot for you because it was, I wouldn't say a good loss because no loss is a good loss, but it was an exciting fight. I gave a good account of myself, and people enjoyed the fight. A lot of people have said to me, you may have lost the fight, but I believe you won the occasion, and it's best I've seen you perform. So it's weird. Sometimes you've had fights you've beaten and knocked out guys and beaten heavyweights like Mauritsbach and had a go with the knocked out cruiserweight guys, but some people believe that was my best performance. So I don't know. I just keep working hard. It's only my 34th pro fight, and I want to keep working hard. I had no amateur experience, as you know. So I'm already back working out 2 times a day. When the offer comes, I'll be ready. And I just want to do well for myself and my family. I think I've got another 4 or 5 years of boxing. By the time I turn 36, the latest 36, 37, I want to turn it up. But I want to turn it up on a positive note. I don't want to ever overstay my welcome in the sport, especially not in the bigger weight divisions like bridgerweight and heavyweight. I never want to be a journeyman. I always want to be, a tough competitor that needs to be respected. Now, if you had to, when I was sitting with Frank Warren at His Excellency's house, he said to me, "You're the Henry Cooper of boxing." And that's obviously the guy that floored Ali, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And it was unexpected. I think whenever the fight I come into, whether it's heavyweight or bridgerweight, I got that like dark horse kind of, even though I believe in myself, I'm always kind of like a dark horse because you can't take me lightly, but I'm a small heavyweight. So I don't know. You tell me what you think.
No, I think that's a good analogy, and I can hear the competitive spirit and that warrior spirit that you showed a month ago in Saudi Arabia coming out of you as you talk. You don't want to be a journeyman. You don't want to be there just for a loss or a payday. You wanna be there to win, and you've been there nearly against Daniel Dubois and Justis Huni. Very controversial fights as well, both, but you haven't quite made that mark. But what I'm hearing is that you want to come out this sport before you get to that point of let's just throw Kevin in because people know him, he's a good fighter, but he's probably going to lose. You don't want to be in that scenario.
No, exactly. I want to always be the guy that if they're fighting me, they got to say, this guy's serious. He's a serious fighter. We need to fight. We need to take him seriously. And I think the last 2 heavyweights that I fought, being Daniel and Justis, I think they took it seriously, and I think the boxing world took me seriously before and after.
Absolutely. Listen, Kevin, appreciate your time on BoxNation. Once again, look, condolences to yourself and your family. I hope you're all as best as you can be, considering what happened a month ago. And no doubt we'll speak soon when you've got some news. All right.
Cheers, bro. We'll keep in touch, and thank you for everything you're doing. And it's good to have you back.
Thank you, Kevin. God bless. See you soon.
Cheers, bro. Take care.